Welcome to the Sincerely God podcast. I'm Sarah, and I believe that God is speaking to all of us all the time and in many different ways. The primary way that I listen is through two-way journaling. And on this podcast, I share excerpts from my journaling time with God, which are really inspirational messages spoken from the perspective of God to you. I'll talk more about what two-way journaling is and explore other methods which may be helpful for you to listen to God in your own unique way. I'm just an ordinary person who gets to hear from an extraordinary God, and I believe you can too. Thanks for joining. Hi everyone. So the journaling that I'm sharing today, I actually had started, I often do my journaling in the morning. It's kind of how I start my day, drink my coffee. And that day I was basically just thanking him for the day and asking God, how does he desire me to spend the day? And this was what I got in response. He says, "Yes, my child, I am with you. I am for you. I am in you. I'm always speaking to you. I'm always guiding and leading and preparing and providing. I'm always here, always near, always waiting for you to be still and listen. So be still and receive. You do not need most of what you think you need. Release it all to me and see how I provide. See how I make a way. My way is good. My way is best. Try it, my child. Test it and see. Release your cares to me. Release your worries and thoughts about the future. Live each day as if it is all that matters. Live in the moment. I will show you what this means. Whenever your thoughts drift to what ifs about the future, stop and release them to me. Let every thought about the future come from me, for I am already there and I already see what will be. I already see the goodness I will provide. Do not try to jump ahead in your thoughts. Receive each moment as it comes. Yes, you may still make plans, but make them with me. Yes, you may still dream and have vision, but build your vision with me. Let's see the future together. Let's enjoy today together. Let's walk this way together. I desire to share every moment together with you. Let's walk this journey together, my child. Let me show you the way. Let me carry your burdens for you. I will discard most of them because they are not important. The ones that are worth carrying, I will carry. You do not need to carry anything on your own shoulders. Relax, release. Let my healing love be complete in you, my child. Let my healing work continue to completion. Spend time with me. Be still with me. Make time to be still with me, my child. I know you have many things on your mind and many things and people you care about. Release them all to me. I will take care of them. I will show you the way in which you should go. Don't struggle on your own. Release everything to me. Release and be free. Live freely. My love is free, my child, and my love is all you need. Live freely and confidently in my love. You know I will take care of you. You know I will provide whatever you need, no matter what difficulty or opportunity may come. So live like you know. Live freely and confidently in my love. Do you need others to love you or provide for your needs? No, you only need me, my child. I am everything, the beginning and the end. Night and day I am with you and for you in ways you can't even understand. Rest in me. Rest in the knowledge of this truth. I desire you to rely on me and not on the things of this world. I desire you to rely on me and not your own strength." Wow, there's so much in this message that is still what I'm working through, is still what I'm trying to learn how to live out. And it's funny, I feel like so many times with this podcast, I have these journaling words that I'm sharing, they're all the way back from 2018. And I'm going back through them, and I typically I'll go through my quote book and try to pick a quote from a different topic. If you've taken a look at my quote book, I have each chapter is kind of like a theme. And so I've tried to make sure I get a quote from every theme. And so I go back, I find a quote, and I go back through my journaling, and I'll pick one that seems to just have a good segment to share. But it's, of course, it's God, right? But it's funny how so often I will go back to this old message from years ago, and the truth that's in it, like the real theme and thing that God is speaking to me in it, is exactly what I am also needing right now, and exactly what he's kind of bringing around again for me in my present. Even times where I'll have chosen the excerpt a couple weeks, even a month, before, And when I sit down to do it, it's like, whoa, a month ago, I did not know that this is exactly what I needed right now. So just another one of those cool God things. We can read different scriptural passages, sections from the Bible that obviously were important for the person at that time, but can speak to you exactly today. And I think that God just likes to show off, in my opinion. All that being said, this obviously, like, the message here of just being in the present and not carrying the concerns of this world. I know I struggle a lot with, I'm a planner, and that can be very helpful, but it can also be very detrimental because my thoughts are constantly into the future of like, what if this, what if that? And I can get so caught up in it that, number one, I'm not being present. So I'm not enjoying the moment. I'm not connecting with the present moment. But also, I can get caught up. He even says something in here about, whenever your thoughts drift to what ifs about the future, stop and release them to me. How many times, I know I'm not the only person that does this. How many times do we spend all of this time and mental energy planning and preparing for what ifs that will never even happen? Well, what if this happens? How will I respond to that? What if this person says this or does this to me? What am I going to do then? What if this negative event occurs? Like, there's so many things that we're spending all this time mentally preparing and processing and having all these thoughts, which are often negative thoughts, right? The what ifs that we come up with typically are not good what ifs, right? What if I get this promotion? What if? Usually it's something negative. We're worrying about the future. And so we're spending all this time and mental energy in thoughts that honestly are just a waste of time. And how much does that turn into a burden, right? He says to bring his burdens to him, to bring our burdens to him. And most of them, he says, let me carry your burdens for you. I will discard most of them because they are not important. The ones that are worth carrying, I will carry. You do not need to carry anything on your own shoulders. Most of them I will discard because they're unimportant. How many things do we worry about? Do we feel responsibility for? Do we allow to kind of weigh on our shoulders that aren't even important, that God literally just wants to discard? Anything that is worry is based in fear. Worry is a form of fear, and fear is not from God. So anything that is worry, that can be discarded. Yeah, it's good to plan for the future. And he even says, like, you can make plans and have vision and set goals and all these things, but do it with him. So that the what ifs that we're thinking of are opportunities and options and dreams that God is instilling in us and working with us to envision, as opposed to worries about negative outcomes that may never occur. And I think I've been on my own personal journey. I've been in call it a sabbatical season, and I've been in a waiting season, really. That's been the biggest thing, is I have been learning what it means to wait. And there's so much more to what waiting actually means. That it's not just sitting around doing nothing. Like, there is an active engagement, and there's something that we are taking a stand on, and I think actually impacting from spiritual realm, but like that, the impact, the power of our beliefs in the waiting, that is so much more impactful than I think we can even like have an ability to comprehend. But I've been in this waiting season, and honestly, I don't know what's next. And I'm a planner, so that has been very difficult for me. And I've been in a lot of this headspace of, right, I'm trying to plan the future. I'm trying to figure out certain what ifs, and I'm worrying if I'm missing something. I'm worrying that I'm going to miss something. And God has really just been bringing me back to this space of, do you trust me? Do I trust God? Do I trust that he is good? Do I trust that he has my best in mind? Do I trust that he has an ability to speak to me and I have an ability to listen, and that my inability to listen or my mistakes, my just lack, that he is bigger and he can fill all of that and he can overcome all of that. And if there's something important, he'll make it clear to me. Do I trust him? And so just this, and so much of that is, okay, well, if I trust him, then I can be in the present. Then I can live each day as if it is all that matters. I can not carry all of these things on my shoulders because he wants to discard most of them anyway. And the things that are important, he can carry. And I can look to him. So, dreams, visions, right? I can dream with him. I can have vision with him. And I can trust that when there is a step for me to take, when there is an opportunity, that if it's important and that timing is important, that God will find a way to make it clear to me. And I've experienced that where I felt like God was actually trying to teach me to trust myself. And so I wasn't necessarily getting direct direction on a particular thing. And I think I was reaching a time where it was important for me to act on a particular idea that God had put in me, but I wasn't trusting myself for. And God used a friend of mine to speak to me and really make it clear enough for me to be willing to take that step. So I've experienced it where even if I'm getting in the way of hearing him, of listening, that there are other ways that God can get through, that he is bigger. So anyway, I love how God is doing that this is such an important thing that he has been speaking to me in this present season, like within the last month. And he's bringing up this old message that's from years ago that is saying the same thing. I mean, obviously, I'm a little slow on getting these things. There's so many things that God has to tell me over and over and over again before it finally starts to click and finally starts to actually have an impact in my life, in my way of thinking, in the way that I live in this world. But I think there's so much in here that we all can benefit from. Release your worries and thoughts about the future. Live in the moment, right? There's so much about being present. If we're constantly regretting the past or worrying about the future, we're missing the present moment. And the present moment is what we don't get again. There's so much that we can miss, whether that's just in connecting to the people around us or just experiencing, right? Even if you're not with another person, experiencing the beauty of God's creation, experiencing the beauty of yourself. Like, how much do we actually spend time enjoying who we are? And then he says, I want to spend time with you. He says, let's enjoy today together. Let's walk this way together. I desire to share every moment together with you. Let's walk this journey together, my child, right? God wants to spend every moment of every day fully engaged with us. He's already with us every moment of every day. But how often are we with him? How often are we actually being aware of his presence with us? And that can look different moment to moment. It's not always like, oh, okay, I'm going to silence everybody else around me. I'm going to tune into how God is speaking to me. Like, no, it's recognizing that God is as close as yourself. And that if you can be present with yourself, then you can be present with God in you. And there's beauty in that, and there's joy in that. And there's things that if you're not in the present moment, if you're too busy, right, worrying about things that what ifs that will never actually happen, you're missing out on so much fun and beauty and just joy that you can get in the present moment. And I still have a long way to go on this, but I can also see how far I've come. And I think that's also something that's important, right? We can be hard on ourselves. Oh, I need to do this better. I'm not getting this right. But recognize the process and recognize the progress as you are on that journey. And that's another thing that I think God can help, right? As we're tuning our awareness to him, God can help remind us of that as well, and remind us of the progress, and he'll remind us what he's seeing in us. So yeah, to live freely and confidently in my love. He says, I will provide whatever you need, no matter what difficulty or opportunity may come. I think holding both of those is important, right? Difficulty and opportunity. Like, we are going to face difficulties in this life. There are going to be hard things. We're going to get hurt. We're going to have challenges, all of these things. And God wants to be with us in all of those, and he has a provision for all of that. Yeah, it may not be what we want, right? We may want to avoid the difficulty altogether, and that might not be the path that God has for us. I mean, there's so much more that I could go into that is still beyond my comprehension of kind of how this world works. But he can give you the strength to get through that thing. He can give you solutions. He can give you hope, right? There's so many things that God can provide when we're facing difficulty, but also opportunity. That God isn't just here for us when we're facing a difficult situation to be in the hard. Often that's the only time we'll actually look to him and try to seek his help. But what about in all the opportunity? What are the opportunities that God has placed along your path? I mean, I think there's dreams that he has put in our hearts that we don't even allow ourselves to believe in, and he's yearning, we feel a yearning towards him because he's trying to pull those dreams out of us and pull us towards those dreams. And how many opportunities do we potentially even pass up because we're fearful? We don't want to take the risk. And if we can recognize that God will provide in those opportunities as well, whether that's wisdom, discernment of, is this a good opportunity? Is this for my benefit? But also, sometimes we need strength, we need energy, we need creativity, we need all of these things to do our best to take advantage of that particular opportunity. And God has provision for all of that as well. So recognizing that God wants to be part of every aspect of your life, every moment of every day, not just, okay, I'm facing this challenge and so now I'm going to finally stop and pray. But like, how often when you see a potential opportunity, do you stop and pray for God's provision in it? Pray for God's blessing, discernment, whatever it may be. I think sometimes it's kind of our last resort where it's like, I'm going to try to do everything on my own. And then when I realize I can't do it on my own, then I'm going to ask God for help. And that's not the way that he wants. He wants to do everything together. Because, I mean, we know, right? If you have a good teammate, maybe that's a close friend, maybe that's your spouse, maybe that's a coworker, that they have skills, they have abilities, personality traits, whatever that you don't have, and you balance each other out and you complement each other. How much more can you accomplish? Well, God is the ultimate, right? Every single thing that we have a weakness in, he has. And supernaturally, right? So we can get supernatural wisdom. We can get, I remember even like in my old job, I would have moments where something small, super small. God wants to be in the small stuff. I used to manage a team that did some kind of software development, more basic stuff. But I remember having times where it was like, there was a problem, right? There was a problem in the logic, in the code, whatever. And usually there's a lot of logic, a lot of coding to go through. It's not like it's easy to see what the problem is. Often there's pages of logic to see, okay, where is the issue? And I would have times that I'm like, okay, I know there's a problem. Let me look at it. And I would immediately find it. Like the chances, right? The statistical chances of me finding it so quickly, if I have, call it 2 pages worth of coding logic to review, and I just so happen to pick, to start on the bottom of page 2 or whatever, and that's exactly where the thing is. Like, to me, that's God helping me in that opportunity, or in that, you could say, in a challenge. But I just think there's so many ways that God wants to just do things together with us, and we get to experience the benefit of that. Just like if you've ever had a great teammate, how much more you can accomplish. Like, he is the ultimate. And it's enjoyable, right? I think there's a way that he shows up, right? Even I was talking about how he showed off in bringing up this particular message that is applicable to me right now. I think he loves to delight us and to make us smile. And there's more enjoyment when we do things with an awareness of God with us. And that takes an awareness of being in the present and not so caught up in past regrets or future worries. So I just encourage you, give yourself grace, right? This is hard. We have tendencies, we have habits that we've developed over our lifetimes. We have the world around us that certainly influences our approaches to things, but try to keep this in mind. He says, whenever your thoughts drift to what ifs about the future, stop and release them to me. That's one thing that you can apply. The next time you catch yourself considering a what if, especially if that's a negative what if, stop. Release that thought to God. And you can, in that moment, ask God, what are his thoughts about that, right? If you're considering this potential outcome, or maybe you're trying to have discernment or wisdom about a situation, be still. Create a space for the noise to slow, even the noise of your own thoughts. Find what works for you, but create a space to be still and ask God what he thinks. Ask God what he wants for you. And that may just be you don't need to worry about it. Trust that God will provide. That's the current space I'm in right now. I don't know what I'm going to do next as far as job, vocation, making a living. Like, I don't actually know. And from a natural, right, say world, like smart, I'll just say smart, right? From a prudent approach, that's not a good way, right? I should be planning, I should be preparing, I should have a path of, okay, this is the thing that I want to accomplish, and so I'm going to do this training or apply for these positions. But God has specifically told me that he will provide and that I am to wait. So I'm trusting, I'm choosing, because I would say, like, I've been trusting, right? And I've been in that space of I'm believing, I'm trusting, like, but then I would still worry. I'm still trying to plan. I'm still asking him over and over and over again, what about this? What about that? And I'm finally getting to a space of at least being intentional about, like, no, I'm going to trust. And that trust means that when I have what if thoughts, I'm going to stop and I'm going to give them to him. And what happens when I do that is I get the reassurance of, I will provide. Trust me. You don't need to worry about that. And hey, maybe I'll be on here, in a few months or a year, and I'll be like, that one didn't work out to me too well. I'll be honest with you. But at this point, I have so much evidence of God in my life doing things that are unable to be explained by natural means, that he's proven that he's trustworthy. And I could see that in other people's lives, right? We don't have to just experience that personally. We can see it in other people's lives, how God has worked and shown and proven that he is trustworthy. We can certainly read it in stories in the Bible, but I'm to a point where it's like, okay, if I'm going to do my best to trust, I want to allow that to affect all of me. So I'm not saying I'll trust and yet worrying and spending all this mental energy, being in a negative space of like, what if this, what if that? And so instead, I'm trying to practice this, right? However many years later, I'm trying to practice this, to stop and release those thoughts to God and ask him what he thinks. So I just encourage you, it does take intentionality, but it's worth it. And I think you'll be able to see the impact of that. I mean, how much does worrying actually add to our lives? It's just spending energy. It's not actually bringing us anything. So I encourage you, be present, submit your thoughts, those things that are weighing you down, submit those to God, see what he says about them, and enjoy. Live each day as if it's all that matters. Thanks for tuning in to the Sincerely God podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends. If you'd like more information, you can go to my website, sincerelygod.com. There you'll find links to my social media, as well as an ability to get your own copy of Sincerely God, a collection of quotes, either the book or the prayer journal. Until next time, keep listening to how God is speaking to you.